Good morning. It's a beautiful day here in Spain. I'll show you real quick. Oh, look at that. That's gorgeous. Right over there in that general direction, behind that is the Sierra Nevadas. And not my Sierra Nevadas. I'm from California. We have Sierra Nevadas there. I guess they were named after these Sierra Nevadas in Granada. So let's see if we can actually catch a glimpse of them. I kind of doubt it just because we're like down here. But it doesn't hurt to check, right? No. But you can still see beautiful hills here and these beautiful wow. Spain is genuinely gorgeous. Embracing that part of my heritage, I suppose. So we're gonna get this workout going, and so I wanted to briefly explain the method. I mean, it's an intuitive, but I'm also like sticking to a routine just because I feel like people have so many different routines and whatnot, which is not bad, but like you kind of want to stick to one, see what works for long term. So I'm basing it off the flowering more, the Teocalli method, which is a Toltec method. So it's ancestral for me, at least, because I'm descended from Mesoamerica, the Americas, indigenous Americans. So this is a Teocalli method, and we're gonna build the foundation. This is like basically for your growth as a human, as a spiritual being. And level 1 is, as you can see, the physical method, right? The physical. So within level 1, because your body is your temple, so we have here level 1 physical, and at the bottom of it is breath. The breath is everything. And I mean that makes sense, right? Like the breath is what keeps us alive. Without it, we're dead in a few minutes. And the breath is one of the senses that, not sense, it's one of those things that we can consciously control, but also we unconsciously don't know when we're like breathing shallowly, right? So it takes a conscious effort to be like, oh, breathe deeply, to regulate our breathing. We can become more accelerated with our breathing, whether we're doing like something, a very rapid breath, a very fast breath, like Wim Hof, or we can slow down, deep box breathing, something grounding. So the breath is one, being aware of the breath, earth and light. So connecting to the earth, taking your shoes off, grounding, light, greeting the sun every morning. Like, let's do that right now, actually. Just because it's outside for the first time. So there is the sun behind us. It's kind of hard to see because I can't see my screen, but the sun is behind us. And so we're going to say hello and be grateful for the sun because it's the source of all energy, right? So we want to be grateful for the sun and sun in our eyes for 10 minutes at least in the morning. We want that first thing. Movement, we're about to do movement, which is exercise. It could be dance, it could be working out, running. Here it says nourishment, so eating for your body, not that processed crap that we have. And ideally you want to forage for your own foods. Is something that I'm very, very into. Any survival skills, foraging, wildcrafting. So if you can forage your local foods, even better. Organic and farmers market is good too, but foraging from the earth straight, like you did it yourself, you picked it from the ground. Some mushrooms, obviously learn, get a guide, make sure you're getting the right thing. I have a bit of experience. I'm not a pro, but I'm pretty confident in my area what to forage, what is edible, what is not edible. And it takes time, it takes guidance from people who definitely have mastered that. And then we have rest. So rest is just as important. It's, in this modern culture, grind till you die. Nah, like that's not what we're doing here at all. The physical includes rest. It includes honoring when we need to be still. And honest stillness is actually very, very important. It's one of the most important things. And I learned that kind of late. I learned that this year, even though I knew it in my brain, but now I know it in my body. I have a gnosis of it where right now stillness is very important. Like it's actually probably at the top of my list because I am developing myself. Stillness, especially in the masculine or As men, we struggle with that, especially if we have more masculine energy, or that's our dominant energy. We feel more comfortable with it. But stillness is just as important. It's actually not even an unmasculine trait. It just is something essential for everybody. But the reason I associate it more with the feminine is it's instead of the doing, it's the being. It's just being. And just by being and being in that stillness and in contemplation, a lot of clarity comes from that. A lot of like, you're not doing things based off of ego or fear. You've transcended fear, and now you're just in that flow. Anyway, let's get this workout going. But that is what I'm working on right now in the Teocalli method, the physical. I'm continuing that here in Spain. I'm from California. I'm here on a trip, and I'm nourishing my body. I want to create a very strong foundation for this spiritual journey that I'm going through, this human journey that I'm going through. I don't really like saying spiritual journey. They're not separate in my opinion, but through this journey, just to build a solid foundation, love myself, genuinely love myself, and then be unshakable, be unmovable, and create the right conditions for the type of life and perception, and enjoy being while I'm creating that, like enjoy the process of it while I begin to trust myself even better. Because when my body feels safe, I can trust myself. Anyway, let's get going. Honestly, I've been slacking off a little bit fitness-wise. I mean, I've been hiking, which is good. So I've been outside getting sun, doing physical activity. But in terms of weightlifting, I went down to 1 to 2 times a week since about April, late March, April. So I'm actually surprised I retained the muscle that I did. It was like barely maintenance. I did lose a little bit, but it wasn't very, or maybe I lost the pump more than the actual muscle. But we're getting back into it. And the reason I did that was because I needed to take a step back. I wanted to prioritize other things at the time, emotionally, be outside, go to the mountains, forage, certain skills that's like, well, in one area, I'm gonna have to make a sacrifice for it. And also I just didn't want to force myself. I could have been like accounting for every single minute, but that's not what my soul was calling. That's not what my feminine was calling. Hey.
Morning, guys.
Morning. Hey.
Hitting the gym.
Yeah, and filming.
Nice.
Yeah. Feeling better?
Yeah, I'm good, bro.
Oh, okay.
Probably not gonna hit the gym today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's better.
All right. Sounds good, man. All right, but basically that's what was called from me, and I'm going to pick it back up, maybe not as intensely, and I'm going to keep it disciplined, but also listen to my body, listen to what flows, what doesn't, and not get so hung up. I think just being extremely harsh and being extremely like negative towards myself when things aren't working out the way I want to, especially with that like routine. It's like every minute is accounted for. There's a time for that, but that is not the time for me right now. And honestly, I'm getting so much more done without like stressing about every single minute. My Google Calendar is filled up and everything. Of course, I still have some structure. Like I'm showing you certain things. I'm like, this works for me. I'm flowing with it. I like it. But other than that, I'm just not gonna do that. I'm not David Goggins, you know. I'm genuinely not David Goggins. Is there a time and place to invoke the inner David Goggins? Sure, but right now I'm actually focusing on cultivating my feminine and being in relationship with her, my inner feminine, and seeing like, okay, that's a little too much. That's actually not out of my comfort zone, but at the same time, it's like I have to figure it out, dive deep into that to figure it out, and then I'll even out, right? I'll be like, okay, actually this ratio works more like the yin and yang. You know, some people have more feminine energy and then a little bit of masculine energy. Some people are more 50-50. And because I've never dove into my feminine that way, I don't really know where I fall into that. I just know I have a very rich emotional world. I do have a lot of the feminine energy, at least I admire it. So I'm going to continue that. We're basically done with our workout. I'm going to hit a meditation, nice and relaxed Zen mode. All right, now that we're done with this workout, I have not hit my meditation yet, but there's a few things that I wanted to talk about before I went into that mode. And it's this book, excellent book by Dr. Oscar C. Perez. Excellent book. If you feel like you're at this point where you need or want, I would say want some structure, it's a great book. Like I showed you, it has a Teocalli method. So that first, the bottom, the foundation of the pyramid, it shows you like the physical aspects. So he takes a lot of different concepts and integrates them in this one neat package. The certain things, techniques like the breathing, like it's things we know or we see, right? Especially on social media, like do this, do that, morning routines, blah, blah, blah. But the way he structures it and the way he interlaces it with story and with culture and spirituality is very new, and it resonates very deeply. For the past month or two, I've been going into like whatever the hell I want in terms of just listening to myself. This was the only book I read pretty much like fully, and took his advice. But I knew at this time, and still at this time, I'm listening to my inner guidance. And right now my inner guidance is telling me to add a little bit of structure, because like I said, I was going deep into the feminine, deep into the unconscious, deep into the unknown, very not instinctual, very intuitive, very without like the mind. And I'm here in Spain, but literally right before Spain, I drove up Northern California. And if you don't know, California is massive. Like it takes maybe 13 hours or so, 12 hours to get to the other state going northward, maybe more depending on traffic. But I stayed in several spots, passing Bakersfield, passing Merced, passing all these cities, and checking out the Sacramento River and fishing, and until I reached my destination, which was the peak for me, is Mount Shasta. It's like still my favorite place in the world. I'm here in Spain, and it's still my favorite place in the world. Everybody describes it, not everybody, but a lot of people describe it as a second home, and I feel that I can understand why. And something was calling to me to be there, anchor something in. And then I had my flight on Saturday early morning. So I was cutting it close. Even my friends were like, what are you doing? It's like, dude, like, first of all, I did have that planned already. Like I had those days that I was going to go camping or do something. And some things came up and I was like, I don't know if I should go. And a bunch of mind doubt type of stuff started coming up, but I did it anyway. And I did it for myself. I did it because I knew that was what I wanted since like a few months ago. That's the thing that I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And, it wasn't, you could say masculine, it wasn't logical. It didn't come from the mind. It was something that I felt here in my heart. And I'm still very into that phase, going into that intuition, going into that heart space and perceiving through a different organ. I don't know, that's not the right word, but like a different organ, a different sense, but adding this structure little by little and seeing what works, what doesn't. If it doesn't feel right, I'm not going to do it. That's as simple as that. I don't care what other people say. It's just like, if that is not aligning with my body right now, then it's not going to happen. So I recommend that book for anybody who, I would describe this a perfect book for someone who is going through something, a breakthrough, a spiritual breakthrough, and has maybe feels ancestral trauma or has overcoming something, feels like the black sheep, you could say, carries a lot of emotion. Because even though like you could say this channel's focused on masculine, I'm a very emotional guy. I have a very deep, rich, inner emotional world, and I have these very feminine faculties that for a while I was rejecting or felt a little embarrassed about, but now I don't care. It's my strength, and I'm learning how to dance and dance with them. and learning how to cultivate them and embrace them entirely. So you might be the same way. And I know for men, this is just like, nah, you gotta grind, you gotta be in your masculine, whatever. I did that. I did that for a very long time, and it led to burnout. It led to not really fulfilling the goals that I wanted to fulfill. And maybe for you, that might look different. That is literally what you feel, because we're all built different. But for me, it has to come from a very emotional, spiritual type of birthing. You know, in the masculine, the action is just there to create it, but really it has to come from something so in integrity, so in my heart. And so even if it takes 10 years to build that, like, I'm okay with it. I'm slowly learning how to be okay with it. But meanwhile, in that intermediary, I'm figuring out, you know, the steps, right? I'm figuring out how I can survive in between those steps, but having the trust that I know I can make it happen. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I do not trust the world for this shit. And then other times I'm like, it's good. Like, it's all right. It always works out. And it does, really. Like, it genuinely always works out. If you're breathing, you can get through it, basically. Oh, so here, yeah, Spain. It just represents a milestone. I'm always traveling when something big happens. Spain is one of my ancestral lands. I know I'm transmuting a lot of heavy energy and also just enjoying life, enjoying what it has to offer, being present. And that's very powerful because, yeah, I'm giving you all these like what I do and what might help you. But genuinely, like, sometimes with like this spiritual space, this journey, it's like we get so focused on like the concepts and the things and blah blah blah, but really, like, just sometimes just forget it and be human and be present. That's really it. Like, you know, obviously we have a responsibility. This book also talks about the responsibility of knowing better, but at the same time, sometimes the best thing you could do is really be present. And I'm learning that, like, just be. Stop overthinking. Stop thinking, oh, like, am I in this path or am I in this path? Or, you know, this person says this, but this person says that, but I think this and I feel this. And just allow people to be and allow yourself to be. And you'll never be, I say this to myself too, that perfect spiritual person, the perfect masculine person, that perfectly balanced divine union person. Like, that's just, we are meant to be here and to learn and to be present and live the human experience. Sometimes that really just means being raw human. That means going into our passion, sometimes making mistakes, falling in love, and just, you know, being heartbroken and just enjoying the entirety of that process. I'm human. I'm a man at the end of the day, with desires and cravings and the higher mind or the lower mind or whatever. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And at the same time, it's like, well, I'm just being, dude. I'm learning, and you're just learning. So anybody who probably watches this has probably a heavy weight on their shoulders, over their shoulders, because you have high standards, and I have very high standards for myself. But sometimes just letting that go, really, and just being okay with existing, being okay where you're at. Me being okay, like, you know, my ego kind of shattered a bit. No, it pretty much shattered. Not saying I don't have an ego, but I closed down my website. I pretty much nixed the trajectory of where I thought I was going because it was misaligned. You know, my ego didn't necessarily like that. Like, I could have stuck with it. I could have grinded it out. But I knew it was never going to turn out. That's not why I did that. But it didn't feel right. And now I'm focusing on what is in integrity, what is in my heart, what is genuinely, I feel is right. Long video, a bit of a different video, just because I'm here in this beautiful villa, and there's a pool, there's a workout equipment, like a gym, and I just felt inspired to do something different, you know, see, like, this is what life could look like when you just do something different and be. Anyway, let's enjoy this beautiful life. There's a lot to be grateful for. The sun is shining. There are like no clouds, just clear. There's beautiful palm trees behind me. Like, where are you right now? Maybe it doesn't look as nice as this, or maybe it looks nicer. But we're breathing, and let's take that moment to breathe it in, just like beautiful fresh air. We're alive, we're here, oxygenating our lungs, our blood. And I'm grateful even for the hard experiences, even for the ones I do not understand. I'm like, what is going on? And it's okay. Anyway, I'm gonna meditate and going to eat. So you enjoy the rest of your day, the night, and I'll catch you in the next video.